I can tell you, like, look what I built for 12 years. Look what I was able to accomplish.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you what I researched or what I read. I have lived experience, so I can tell you, like, this is how you get a sponsor. This is how you work with vendors. This is what you've done. This is how you build a team, because I'm telling you from lived experience. If your visuals aren't aligned with who your actual customers are, that's where we misalign. I don't know. Some people are different. If you want to talk to everybody, you can. But sometimes you have to just buckle down and be like, is this really an inclusive, like, Postfaces makes it crystal clear, right? You gotta pass the buck. I think you make it crystal clear, friend.
How do you find the right sponsors and sponsorships and partnerships?
So there's 2 strategies to that. The first strategy is that you...
Welcome back to Business Friends, the official podcast for CoSpace. Yay! So we have real convos about business, the culture, life, everything that you could talk about as your business friends always would. So every episode is always having a musical theme. And today, as you heard, is Beauty Is Her Name by Dru Hill. Yay! And speaking of beauty, I am joined by 2 gorgeous people. So the theme is so fitting. Today, we're talking with my business friends about how aesthetics really matter. And not just because they're both gorgeous, but because they both really understand how presentation, branding, and visual storytelling really shape the perception, the credibility, and access of their brand, of their business, and all of that. So y'all ready to jump in?
Yes.
Yeah. So every episode, we always start with just asking what's on your spirit. So ladies, let's start. So I'm going to ask kind of like what's going on with sitting with you, lady. Okay. Personally, professionally, both of them, all of it. All right. So we'll start with you, Shanae.
Yeah.
So not only is she gorgeous, she's an attorney. She's the founder of ROM Ace. And she's also the creator of one of my favorite conferences, Envision Me, which is happening in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It's out.
I love it. So, friend, what is on your spirit right now?
Okay. So first and foremost, thank you. So happy. Because, I'm big about coming into somebody else's space, and it's very intentional that you invited us both. So don't take that lightly at all, that, he invited me here. So what's on my mind? What's not on my mind is probably the better question. Good question. That's the big question. I feel like I'm in a season where I'm at, it's go mode. And it's a lot to be a catalyst, a curator, a person, a visionary, someone who's leading the pack.
Yeah.
And so I am very, very careful about what I pour into the world, because I think a lot of people are irresponsible with their platforms and their ability to lead other people. And so because I don't take that lightly, what's on my mind is like, all right, God, how do I prepare my spirit to be able to actually pour into other women? And so I'm being very, very intentional about this last, lead up to Envision Me, and making sure that I am at my height, right? Pour from an empty cup. So I'm just so intentional about preserving this last bit of energy, but not just preserving it, but being restored with something new and something fresh, because I do feel a little tired. And I'm glad that I took some time away. I went to Costa Rica. And I had a good time. And so that was helpful, refreshing, and bonding with my husband. But now in this season, I want to really pour into me and build me up, so I will be able to be in the right heart posture to be able to like pour into other women. So I love it. It's on my heart right now.
I love it. All right, Kanasha. So Kanasha is one of my oldest friends. I love it. She can't get rid of me. I love it. So Kanasha is the founder of the Black Professionals Network, which is a nationwide movement. Like, I don't even know how, you can't put it into a box anymore. So how are you navigating life these days? What's in your spirit, friend?
Oh, so what's in my spirit is we're rebuilding. So I am looking at the landscape of all the policies that have affected like DEI and Black organizations.
Okay.
And also looking at what needs to be planted currently to navigate that. We have a long journey ahead. I think people don't realize, if we knew, like my organization, we're hyper-focused on legacy building.
Yeah.
Developing a network of people who have a legacy builder's mindset.
That means you have to have the fortitude for long-term planning, long-term vision, long-term casting. And so right now, what's on my spirit is just figuring out like how do we build with that long-term in mind? Like, as we are in a new shift, like my org now is 11 going on 12 years. Yeah. So
That's
it's like
amazing.
so for me, it's like now I'm thinking, okay, what does that next horizon look like?
Yeah.
And how do we make sure that we're still impactful, we're intentional, and also, but measurable. Like I'm in the season right now, like I don't want vanity optics. I want like the tangible, like, okay, how, like I want to see like more people, more testimonials, more stories of like how we have impacted people.
Okay. So for both of you, how has your presence changed as your brands have grown? Both of you. So let me tell you, when I was thinking about this episode, just the concept of beauty, right?
Mm-hmm.
The obvious aesthetic is there, right? You're both gorgeous. But then on top of that, I feel like both of you have brands that when I see a post, I know it's ROM 8. When I see a reel, I know it's BPN. I know it's a Kanasha post coming. So how do you manage that? Like also kind of like keeping it real, keeping it fresh, but understanding that the optics matter.
Yeah. So I think it goes back to me as a person in general. So I just like nice looking things. And I know, and I'm not.
Kanasha's like, yes,
I do. The core of me, I like, to look at nice things in general. I like aesthetics. I like beauty. I like to feel glamorous. I like to look glamorous. And I think that attention to detail, if it's embedded in you, it by nature bleeds into anything that you touch and do. I give an example all the time. I was in law school. And at that time, I was doing makeup to like getting through law school. So I've always, like I said, I always like my thing. I love transformation. So being a makeup artist, that's a huge part of it. And being able to use beauty in a way that I can change how I look in a matter of a second, right? I could change my hair. I could change my lips. I can do all these things. So it was always a part of me. I remember sitting in this room in law school at some event. And I asked the question about aesthetics and like, I shared how, I like to wear makeup and I feel like people kind of shy away from that in the law. And I recall
they try to look so serious.
Exactly. And I recall one of the attorneys at that time, she gave advice to me and she said, look, if you want to be known as the pretty attorney with the red lipstick, then that's fine, but nobody's going to take you seriously. And instead of like taking that, and some people probably would have took that advice and became a different person, right? And so now you lose the joy in being able to show up to work as who you are, and at the end, more you lose that because you listen to somebody else who maybe in their career that was their experience. What it has been for me in my career, and then now through my brand, is that my beauty, my things that I love, lipsticks or whatever, makeup, it has been conversation starters like easily.
Yeah.
Like nobody else. It has gotten me into rooms that, quite frankly, the wits and the smarts probably wouldn't have done it because, it's those little moments, those intimate moments at a networking event. Yeah. That's like, hey, girl, what's that foundation? Right. What's that, the color? What's this?
So people take for granted the power of like the ladies' bathroom. Mm-hmm. Because we'll be in there talking, having a good conversation, but now we're best friends.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And now we're business partners because I can tell you how even a client of ours, I remember her inviting me to do her makeup. And next thing you know, we're talking about all these other things outside of the law. And now you have a personal relationship with that person. And so that same mindset, I feel like I've taken through entrepreneurship now is that everything matters. How I present myself, how I show up, how I look, because you just don't know, for one, where the conversation is going to lead to.
Yeah.
And then for two, the reality is I do want to attract women like me to this.
Yeah, it's a right litmus test. So you like, if you have a problem with this, then just wait.
Yeah, and then you're not my person.
Hold on, what's going to offend you even more? This is the entry.
And then you have a brand that the price point is not, it's not astronomical, but at the same time, it's also not low level either. So my price points for my tickets I know are going to be a certain amount. I'm expecting a certain woman to show up and that's going to understand and value that same aesthetic that I value, right?
And I know, Kanasha, you've got similar advice before from someone telling you to like not be so girly and not be so cute.
Oh, yeah.
We laughed out the room when Kanasha told us that because we're like, have you met Kanasha? Who's underestimating her?
Yeah, no, I look at, so I think for my journey, because I'm the same, I went to law school, but I don't think I had the same experience where people, because I feel like one thing that I always tell people that anything in our toolkit is like, whether it's beauty, intelligence, your talent, they're tools, right? Or they could be a weapon. And regardless of what they are, you have to understand when you figure out how to leverage either one, depending what environment you're in.
Yeah.
So for me, I always look at like, one, make sure that you're true to yourself. I love looking good. I feel like Deion Sanders is right. When you look good, you feel good, you play good. Like, it just, all of that is true. Like you carry yourself a certain way. But I also think that you have to power it with something. Yeah. I know a lot of people who are very beautiful, but they're not confident. I know a lot of people who are
crazy.
Yeah.
When I see a beautiful person who is like with bad posture, acting like they dusty, I'm like, what are you doing?
But they learn that. So that's why I say is you have to pay attention to your environment, not only like how you enter a room, but how that room affects you. So sometimes people, you already know, like I'm a big psychological person. So everything that I do is like, I think of like, not only how it affects me, how it affects others, because I think intentionality has to have a very like wraparound look to it. Yeah. And so for me, I noticed that the people who I've encountered who were beautiful but weren't confident, they usually put me at that they probably were in environments that they pick up the message that beauty was something that they couldn't lean on as a tool. And so therefore it forces them to shrink. And so when you start downloading that kind of narrative, it does shape how you interact with people because you feel like, well, the message was that beauty, I should see beauty as a threat. Because when I was a child, they did try to put that messessage on me. They're just like,
realize that only ugly people are threatened.
No, today this happened. They'll be like, oh, like, you know what?
True.
No, because it does. Like, and you have to be very careful about what messages you adopt and you have to be like very diligent about rejecting them. Even people who are super, super close to me that when I think about when I hear about other people's stories, I was just like, yeah, I must have been built different from a child because you could have been my dad and told me that I couldn't do, and when my dad sometimes shape a lot of the narratives of how I could get rebellious about looks. And I'm just like, and I still told that man no. I'm going to tell you no.
I love it. And it's very consistent.
Yes. I'm always like, look, I think
it's very consistent.
You have to understand, but I think at the base of that's why I always tell people, regardless if it's beautiful, your beauty, your intelligence, or you have a unique talent, you have to protect that. And you have to protect that in like the sea of authenticity. Like you have to recognize like who you are because you are going to meet resistance, you know? Like it's just natural.
Or people might underestimate you and think you're just a cute little girly, not knowing you're a whole partner at your firm, not knowing you have created something amazing that cannot be replicated and had like BPN is a movement. Mm-hmm. You know how many people fly down to Florida for the BPN conference here? And I love that, and the fact that there's chapters all around the country and we all come together and it's like a family reunion.
Yeah.
So it's like people might underestimate you and think you're just a cute little girly. And then they blink and it's like, oh no, I have a whole brand. I have a whole backing. I have an army behind me. So I'm cute, but I'm also like, I'm about that life.
Yeah, and you use it to your advantage. I feel like the wonderful thing about being a woman is that you have to know how to leverage that. Again, I always say it can either be a tool or a weapon, and the environment tells you which.
You're about to say something to me.
Yeah, I think I struggle sometimes with the idea that I have to be one or the other. Like it bothers me that people even underestimate me in the first place because you think I'm so, I look so young, I look so pretty. Yeah. Why does that automatically trigger that I don't know what I'm talking about in the first place? And so I think it is so annoying to me, the idea that I have to choose one or the other. I was listening to Michelle Obama's latest book, right? And it's all about fashion and beauty and her experience as a Black woman, particularly a Black woman, first lady ever, and all the decisions that went into, you know, the choices of what she wore and how she looked. And
everybody was mad no matter what she wore, no matter
what. Just that
was so crazy.
book just made me realize, like, girl, like, why do I have to? But why do I have to think so hard about the choice? And why do I have to look like this now in order for you to take me seriously? And then later I can actually become who I want to be. I think it bothers me still that I've had to do that in some ways with my career, of where, well, let me tone it down a little bit so people to start take these seriously first, and then I can actually come out and be who I want to be. And I think I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, listen, you don't take this. You're not doing it. I'm not going to be multiple, and you're going to take this one, right?
You reminded me, when I was in corporate America, I received some feedback from a very well-respected person who was also a Black woman. And she was like, yeah, you got to stop with red lips and you got to stop wearing these pumps. I used to wear heels every single
Yes.
every day. I love shoes. And she was like, you got to stop with that because no one's going to take you seriously. Look at this high level you are at the company, and you can't be wearing these pumps and these red lips every day. And I was nodding, and in my head, I was like singing a song or something. I don't even know what I was me though. And in my head, I was like, this is one of those moments where I'm just like, bet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bet.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that this is coming from a good place, but it's also a raggedy place.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't get with that.
And we can't keep doing this same cycle, right? They learned it. They were told that from another woman in the industry like them. And I think a lot of the advice I got early on in my legal career was aligned to that. You just keep on dumping what you're already
shrinking and keep my women stream.
Because but I also recognize, because knowing that early on, I had, like I told you, I had those lived experience where people would try to say, don't do this or don't do that. But I learned that a lot of it, that advice comes from their perception of what would keep you safe.
Yeah, they're trying to protect you.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so sometimes it's like, so I understood that from that base, but I also recognize it's like, you also have to recognize, like, that's why I'm so big about telling people, like, be mindful of that environment, because you have to read the room. You have to be conscious of recognizing, like, well, is this the tool that actually is going to keep me safe? Or is it going to prevent me from an opportunity?
Yeah.
Because maybe when you were in the room and the season that was true, because I'm not gonna deny someone's lived experience. That was true for you in that moment. But in where I'm in this moment, in this environment, this is actually holding me back.
To say that. I love the way your brain works. But it's funny because even going back to my story, I became the girl with the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how many uppity up people would come and visit once a year, but remember that I had crazy shoes. And it's like, oh, the girl with the shoes. And now we're friends. And now the girl with the shoes also has an idea, and you're going to listen because we're friends, right?
Yeah.
So I like that, how you said, look at these.
Because people like working with people that they like. That's why I said it.
And we like pretty people. And we like people that, not just pretty, but we like aesthetically pleasing things.
But that's just an intro. That's why I said that I'm always disappointed. Or just, I feel bad when I find people who don't know how to leverage any of the tools well. Like, if you are a beautiful person, that you shrink, or you don't know how to make it work for you.
Right.
I know a lot of pretty people that even if they don't shrink, they still don't know how to make it work for them.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know how to get opportunities. They don't know how to, like, make their life easier. And I'm just like, well, that's like, what is you doing?
So let's zoom out a little bit. I want to move into the next segment of our podcast, and it's the Culture Corner. Yay! So with the Culture Corner, I want to talk about just things that are happening culturally in the news, but also relate to us as business owner, because everything always comes back to our business. So I'll kick it off. I was looking at a Forbes article, and by reading this Forbes article, I met that little snippet before they make you pee. I was reading the snippet, and it spoke to us having a visual-first economy. Right? And it was talking about a shift in customer behavior where people are really going heavy on the visuals, right? The CEO profile is important, and this concept of, like, show and then sell. And so actually, you were just talking about that. So I know you just wrapped LegacyCon.
Yeah.
The BPN Summit, y'all. And the visuals for LegacyCon go crazy. Like, if you have never been pause the podcast and go look.
Finish the podcast, then go look.
Okay, finish the podcast and then go look so you can understand what I'm saying. But the visuals are insane. And it's so clear. Like the vision, the idea. I can see Kanasha in a boardroom cackling of these ideas she has and then making people execute it. And when it's finished, she's like, see, not that crazy.
Not crazy.
Yeah, but how do you land on your visuals? And like, is this intentional? Like, do you understand how great the visuals tell the story of like LegacyCon, for example, or just your brand in general?
No, 100%. So I know when your first question, you were talking about like how beauty leads to even from our business. One of the things that I look at it is, well, in business, we say branding then, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, so in branding, I'm really big about also storytelling because like, for me, it's really important because at the end of the day, like you have to make all the parts connect. And so for me, when it comes down to, I would say probably the first thing is that I look at, because I think about it first from storytelling, then I add the visuals. I think first of who is the audience that needs to receive this, right? So I think about, I really hone in about all the different types of character or audiences that we need to service, from the person who is a college student, for the person who is a high net worth individual. Like, how can I create a story that feels universal to them? And so for LegacyCon, that's why a lot for the past several years we landed on superheroes, because I love superheroes, because I feel like it's a very universal theme that no matter what age, no matter what background, you understand the concept of like wanting to be the hero of your family, wanting to be the hero of your community. And then so creating a space that tells you that you can step into that identity and then make sure that we design an environment that you see almost that is super futuristic, because a lot of times people have a thought of what it means in the head, and I want to make you feel it. And I know that
do that. You do a really good job of that. Like, I love that.
I'm always nitpicking. I'm always like, oh, we could have done better. We could have done this. But I do love the fact that what we have been able to do, and I'm excited of what we can scale that more, just to really kind of like piece all of that together. Because at the end of the day, even I don't always look at it as it's just the beauty of this. Because even to your point, like when someone said the fancy shoes or the red lipstick, they're creating a narrative. They're adding a story. And so that's why I'm always like, we are humans that live by stories. And so we have to think that how we present ourselves, how we design our logos, how we put a social post out, all of that is telling a story.
Yeah.
And a story is part, not only what you say, but how you package it.
I like that. And, that makes me think about Shanae. We have this brand of Rom 8, right? And we have this joke. Every time I go to a Rom 8 event, I'm like, they gonna put that logo on the floor, y'all. Right? Every time you go to a Rom 8 event, it is branded. Yeah, it's so tasteful. It's so pretty. But like a person who's a lonely better, just like, oh, everything is so pretty. But as a fellow business brand, I'm like, oh no, this is intentional.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite things. I mean, I love the conference, Envision Me conference, but I really love the visual storytelling. So I know this is intentional.
It is so intentional. And again, I think it goes back to who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Right? So before I had Rom 8, I had my personal brand. And I think that's where people should start realizing and take advantage of, is your personal brand and what you do with that. I write that down because it makes everything else easier on the back end.
Yes.
Right? And so Rom 8, it looked like we are 3 years in of Rom 8 itself. When comparable to other brands that's been in the game years in, you couldn't tell the difference because the quality of the visuals itself alone would haven't been like, well, how is this a new brand, right? And so that's intentional too. It's intentional that I utilize all the previous experience and resources that I had before, because while Rom 8's only been around 3 years, I myself, my personal brand, been around much longer. And so I use all those same resources to now form into the brand itself.
I feel like that's the superpower. But I feel like that's a superpower for both of you, is understanding that the optics, the visual storytelling, and just the aesthetics of a brand, of an event, is a part of the story.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you balance that though? Because there's some people who are crippled by the visual aesthetics of things. There's people But there's people who are crippled by it, and it's no longer a superpower.
I think you need both. Like, I think you need the crisp quality 4K lens brand storytelling, but you also need that camera phone. I wanted to
get it done, right?
to get it done to show you what the real looks like. I think every brand needs a little bit of both, right? And whether that lives in your stories and some lives in a different place, but I think you need the balance because life is not picture perfect. So if I'm going to tell a story and I want you to relate to this story, you got to relate. So if I'm always pushing out nothing but the highest quality visual.
Yeah.
But then how do you relate to me on another and it also, I think, depends on what story you're telling. I'm telling a story of like, I'm like you. Like I told you before, I want to attract the same woman that's similarly situated.
Yeah.
So she got to see both. She got to see the glitz, the glam, what she can achieve.
Yeah.
But she also has to see like, you know, the kid and me being the mom and all the real behind the category either. It needs to be a balance. And sometimes I don't do a good job at giving all the unpolished things. So I think, you know, it's a struggle.
Yeah. But it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only part where I might differ in the sense that because I probably lean more storytelling first and the audience first, I do realize I look at what are the audience telling us, right?
Yeah.
So I notice that a lot of the audience, like right now we're in because beauty could be easily purchased now, right? And aesthetics can be easily purchased. I'm noticing that there are people who are now wanting more like the unpolished, right? They're looking for like, what can like outside of wowing me with how amazing it is, like what is the tangible that I could walk away with? What is going to be the thing that is going to shift my life, that is going to shift my, give me a better sense of purpose, give me a better sense of who I'm called to be.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and not saying that the aesthetics doesn't play, but I do think that I'm always looking, almost like a mad scientist. Like I feel like everything that I try to do is very much like
accurate.
Yeah,
accurate.
Like, I always say, like, even with me, I was like, I treat myself even like a scientific method project. Like, so I'm always looking at kind of like, what is the data telling us? What is the environment moving us towards? And how then do we create something that balances, like giving people the, because people are really, I also think about it, like sometimes people are not even chasing the optics or chasing, I'm always like looking at like, what's the root of it? Like people are chasing usually a feeling. Like when I see something nice, it's not like I like the nice thing for the sake of it being nice.
Right.
I like it because it probably gives me a feeling that I enjoy and I want to keep.
See, I love that you mentioned that. My second episode is actually talking about the happy feeling. I'll watch it. And it's literally talking about how sometimes as a consumer, we want a feeling. We'll pay that high price point. We'll go where it tells us to go. We'll follow the rules of your business because we like that feeling, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like in today's day and age, right now we're in the culture quarter. So I feel like there's celebrities or brands that have made one mistake. There's celebrities or brands that have made one misstep and it has canceled them, right?
Yeah.
One visual mistake, right? One little thing, and it immediately makes people realize that we're no longer your people. So I won't say that the brand, not to protect them, but because I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was a brand that was always known as like black hair care.
Okay.
Right? And you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
And they made that commercial, that one of those stupid commercial, and it had nothing but non-black people talking about their struggles of mixed hair. Y'all remember?
Oh, yeah. But I don't know the brand name.
But that's part of the story.
Yeah.
That's the fact that they walked right off a cliff with that one.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, my bad, y'all, they made us use white people, they doubled down and said that their hair care was always for everybody.
Yeah.
And now we can't remember the name of the company.
But exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I'm talking about visuals, not just being pretty, but like understanding that your visuals tell a story.
Yeah. But I think that goes to what I was saying about like how you have to be authentic. Because that
killed their brand.
Yeah, that's part of the storytelling. Like in business, it's not this one thing. Like I know, like I have coached founders for years. So outside of doing BPN, that's like the work that I do. And I always say it's like sometimes people, it's almost like people see the pieces of business and then they'll find like that thing and they just hyper focus on it. And I try to explain to them like, you are being so rigid or so stubborn about this, and that's not the thing. Because
what it felt is if that's your way of protecting your brand. Because had Homegirl been more rigid about I was going to use my people, she would probably still.
I think it was going to be, she would be able if she knew how to, because I think I'm answering from like the first question, I was like the misstep, right?
Yeah.
So maybe some consultant told her to do it, right? Because usually that's what happens.
Yeah.
Somebody tells you to do it, especially if you already have gotten certain capital or certain resources, certain partners on your team, and they want you to scale and they need you to open up
you're going to do it.
Yes. So regardless, somebody must have sat there and told her that. Now, the issue is that where her mistake was, like, you have to learn as a business owner how to pivot and repair properly. Ooh. So it's not necessarily...
She's not repair at all.
Yeah, it's not, because I don't... one of the things that I shy away from teaching founders is like, don't... Because I try to tell people, subscribe from perfectionism. You are going to send yourself into an early grave. like you have to, because there is no way that you're going to avoid mistakes.
Yeah, it happens.
And then also it's going to make, because like keep subscribing to that, it makes it hard for you to prepare appropriately.
Yeah.
Because you're so focused on like,
everything else.
No, yeah, you're so rigid on this has to do this and this. And I'm like, you're missing the big picture. And your audience your audience wants to feel you.
Yeah.
And they can't feel you if you're going to hide by like your perception of how things should have been.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Shanae?
I think for me, it's staying true to what the core values of that business is.
Yeah.
Right? So and being very intentional about the audience, I struggle with building that ramen originally because I wanted it for everyone. Mm-hmm. I wanted everybody to be able to.
And now it's definitely not.
And it's I love when brands double down. Get tight, right? I had to be very clear about what woman am I trying to attract, and not to say that every woman shouldn't have access to it. And so I have opportunities for all women to have access to it. If your visuals aren't aligned with who your actual customers are, that's where we misalign. And whether or not that came from financing and funding, that's a different story. And I get it. Sometimes we feel influenced by the dollars. And I think the beauty of being like, I say it all the time, ramen is largely self-funded. Sometimes it's intentional because I know that God is so much intertwined in my brand that I don't want to feel compromised. If I get your money, I can't say what I want to say. I don't want to live, because that does change everything. It ain't safe life. So I think you look at the Tabitha Browns, the Tyler Perrys, all these folks who really, like, when you talk about self-funding their projects, that's a big deal.
And that's why all their stuff looked like this.
Look like them.
Sometimes to a fault, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because like we drag Tyler Perry. I don't know why we drag him so much, but a Tom Jerry movie. It's his favorite story to tell, the way he liked to tell it. What wigs he liked to give.
Yes.
Because it's always consistent.
And he found the audience that supports it.
He found them people and he only speaks to them.
I don't know. Some people are different. If you want to talk to everybody, you can, right? I get the nature to want to be, inclusive.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to just buckle down and be like, is this really an inclusive, Post Spaces makes it crystal clear. Right? You gotta pass the buck. I think you make it crystal clear, friend, who your audience is, and you gotta pass the vibe check to be a part of this. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And this is coming from a person. I was DEI chair of my firm for years. Blackity black, black, black. Yeah. Right? So, and a part of doing DEI work, you have to be inclusive. Like the whole point of it. And then there are times where I'm like, I can't be. And it's bad about that. I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah, but we have to protect it.
Yeah.
So it's like when when I say something is pro-Black, it doesn't mean it's anti-anybody. Right. It just means it's focused on Black people because we've seen, if we make it Black, right? And then we say, okay, Black and brown, right? Because browns are the homies, right? And then it becomes Black, brown, and beige. And then it becomes brown and beige. And then it's white again. And we don't know what happened.
Yeah. And you pull resources. And it's hard for you to figure out where you're making the impact.
Yes. I like that. So let's move into our third segment of our show, which is, I won't say my favorite, but I really like it. It's the group chat. So for the group chat, we're just going to talk. We're going to talk the same way we would in our group chat. And we actually have a little group chat. We got top of it. But we're going to bounce through other subjects, whatever is on your mind, we could talk about it. But I do have some things I want to start off.
Okay.
Because we were just talking right now about like when you take people's money, you have to listen to them a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, not to put you on the spot, Kanasha, but BPN gets money. But Kanasha is really good at finding the right sponsors and sponsorships and partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
So as a person who would like to take people's money,
Okay.
right? How do you find that line of like, I'm going to listen to you because I took your money, or I'm going to create a relationship, but also understand these are the things that I'm going to do regardless?
So there's 2 strategies to that. I'll tell first the 2, and then I'll explain the one that I go typically.
Okay.
So the first strategy is that you you have an idea of how much money you need to raise, and then you basically reach out to a lot of individuals, and then you get the money, and then you figure out how to make it aligned after the fact. Because
Wait. Is that a thing to do it after you took the money?
No, that's why you hear people like fire, like it happens all the time. Like people,
I love it.
Yeah, or like where you have tech companies that they got funding and then they realize like they didn't really do the product, but they fell in love with the founder. So yeah, it's common in so many different industries. Then the second way is that you already have a clear vision of who are you trying to serve, what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then you reach out to individuals and you pitch them that concept.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So you make it clear to them, this is what I'm selling, or this is what I'm offering you. Do you want to buy it? And then so that way you could get in line.
How do you, because BPN is very authentically BPN. We have our own language, we have our own tribe. So how do you protect that, but also be open enough, like Shanae said, to be inclusive, but also like still be very dialed in?
I think that goes to how I am as a person. So I think for me, I'm a left and right brain person, like through and through. And like, so because of that, I think for how I show up is very integrated. Like I'm always looking for the integrated approach, not the A or B. I'm looking for A and B, right?
Yes,
and I think because of that, like, and even sometimes I'm looking for how A and B can become C. Like I'm very like how do you create a mashup that makes sense?
Okay.
And so for me, when I pitch like very like I pitch understanding what the other person also values. So I don't
You do.
Yeah. So it's like, so that's why I say it's like it's not my idea or your idea.
Yeah.
It's here's my idea. I also know your idea. Let's come together. And
it's still your idea.
Because that's important. I still gotta execute it, but I still make it clear, like, because what I'm looking for is like puzzle match. I'm looking for a puzzle match. I'm like, hey, this is the thing I'm trying to sit there and build. I understand that maybe you value reaching young professionals who are up and coming in their career. This is some programs or workshops that I have that fit that. I like in return, you'll get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But I don't even leave with what I get in return because I built it into the pitch. Right. So like I already know what I'm trying to get out of it.
I love that. Thanks for that. Write that down. Write that down. So let's talk a little bit about boundaries. I feel like this always comes up in the group chat. So how do you navigate when you've like outgrown a certain aesthetic or a certain version of an aesthetic and you are moving to a newer version, but you still want to like be consistent, but you're also kind of letting it go because, so I was thinking about, for example, like Raw Mate, for example, Envision Me. So last year was not the first year at the conference, but it was a huge, the conference blew up, right? It was amazing. We took over the entire hotel. It's amazing. And the first year, you were like in a conference room.
Yeah.
And in the second year, we took over an entire luxury hotel. So a person who went to both would feel like, well, it's not the same thing. But nobody said that. And there were people who've been to both, right? So how do you do that?
Well, the first year was not the same price as the second year. Let's start there. So you honestly, sometimes you get what you pay for, right? And so I think people need to first recognize that. But I think when I knew it was time to scale, it wasn't even like a gradual scale.
No, it was not.
I don't even know if we call it a scale. Just a jump.
Yeah. It was a jump. Like the Olympics, that jump where it was that hard.
Yeah. It was a huge jump. And I think it was humbling to even look how at the beginning level and to see the jump. But how did I do it? It really was based off the demand, right? That first year was such a success and it was done in a very like micro level. And everyone was like,
we want more.
We want more and I need more topics. And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, how am I fit more topics in a day? So I have to expand to a weekend. But then how do I now also give people this luxury experience if I'm not really in a luxury environment? So all the demands that were kind of asked upon me, like, is what made the difference. And then also who I surrounded myself with. That I think was key, is that God just placed different women who could see the vision without me having to show them the vision.
Yeah.
And so getting that early on truly, truly helped to allow me to make the jump because I had so many people pouring into it. They had this belief in the brand, a belief in what we're doing, and they gifted their talents, their services to be able to take it to such an elevated
and so quickly.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's funny because we all go to a BPN conference, a Legacy Con. We all go to a Vision Me. Y'all come to CoSpace.
Yeah.
So it's like we understand these changes that are happening in our brands, but the brand still feels like
the
brand.
brand. Yeah. That's all. Because I think the brand grows with the customer too. Because I don't want to stay the same. I'm always in my personal life, like I told you, I'm obsessed with transformations. I'm obsessed with, leveling up. And so I feel like the customers kind of align with that. Yeah. They want to level up every year as well.
Yeah. I think, Kanasha, you said this, a variation of this, but like the aesthetic will attract, but like you got to have something, the substance to make the lie around. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you 100% do. And I think of one thing that I think a question I had, because group style, right? So it's like, so it's like when you made the demand, like when you made the pivot, did you find that the people match the demand as well?
Yeah, I think that the quality, I don't even like to use that word because I don't want to necessarily say that I had like from low level quality people before. But here's what I realized. Like, I think free events or cheaper event, I realized that people put a certain expectation and value on that. And so when the price point increased, the expectation increased as well. And I think now it matched who I probably want to service anyways.
Okay.
And so I think that was a part of the shift too. Like some of the same folks at the beginning stayed.
Because they could afford to make the transition.
And they understood it and weren't mad at it.
Yeah. Because of what they were getting.
Okay.
Because of what they were.
I even had the pleasure of speaking to a person who was at the first one. She was telling me how, because we were at a table during lunch. Lunch is a great lunch. Yeah. And you're going to tell everybody about the conference in a second. But lunch is just like, it is one of my favorite moments of the conference because we're all just sitting, eating this delicious lunch for this big giant cookie. And you're just talking. And
so good.
Right. And you're just talking to all kind of people. But I was at a table with a person who was at the first one and a person who had never even heard of the brand and was there with the friends.
Yeah.
And all three of our experiences were just, we all felt like we were in the same space, even though we had different gateways, I guess, to the conference. And so the lady who had been to the first one was saying how it was night and day, but it was still the same vibe and bigger and even better.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I like the fact that you didn't leave the first group behind, but you definitely get the invitation to meet up. But those people who you mentioned are afraid of the price point, or those who value the price point, they're not going to come.
Right.
They're going to miss out.
Regardless of how you structure. Yeah.
Exactly. Either way.
And I feel like BPN has a similar story because the first conference, I was there. But the first conference, we were at FIU, right? And FIU was beautiful. And I became this
Copen Center, like a little conference school, the Student Union Center.
Yeah, and we loved it. And it was super cute. And it was just like everything flowed perfectly. And I remember the first year you moved to the Hard Rock. I was like, well, how we going to do that? The Hard Rock. But now I can't see it anywhere else, you know?
So I was like, no, we definitely always thinking, because the conference might move. You might decide to be in a different city. So we're looking at those options.
I'm here for it. I take it back. I can see it somewhere else.
No, but because like you have to elevate. So right now, like for BPM, I say like early on, I was saying how we're in a rebuilding year because
we do have the most varied network that we've ever had, in a sense of that we have professionals who make well over 6 figures. We have professionals who are just early in stage in their field. And luckily, we do have programming that for the most part serves them. But now we're looking at it from a capacity of like, what makes sense, right? Like, what is, how do we be strategic and making sure that everybody feels like they have like their cohort, or they have like their space. And so
They're trying.
Yeah, they're trying. We do that with our legacy house. And we went back on that.
You knew that was coming.
I know. I love how much like people have adopted that. We definitely want to double down on being able to like, give people more perspective of what that means. The same way how people go like really gun ho for either like their zodiac or like
we don't pay for our legacy house, cycles.
So I look forward to seeing like, but that's doubling down on like knowing your audience, knowing what they want, and then figuring out how to like meet that.
Yeah.
But meet that in a way that could afford it. Because because again, like I said, outside of BP, I coach other founders, so I'm always just like, do not move direction always based on what your audiences tell you, because sometimes they're going to push you to a direction that they're not going to follow you. And you're left with
looking crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I also do business consultations here at CoSpace on a different scale. And one thing that I noticed is there's certain people who will feel like they cannot move unless their visuals are where they need to be. So I had like a consultation a couple weeks ago. You're going to love this. But she literally is like investing in getting the logo and getting the clothing made and all these different things. But she has not actually launched her business. And every time, we've met 3 times already. So even I'm like, girl, stop paying for me too. I'm like, but she's so like concerned about dropping and looking a certain way. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to start.
Yeah.
But it's funny because someone will look at your brands and feel like, y'all ain't start before y'all were perfect. But I don't like.
I did. I think I told you my brand was built from personal brand.
Yes. And you just transitioned.
And when you look at I'm always on Forbes and I'm always reading about all
past boundary snippets.
From real, because I need to know. Sometimes you have to understand how these brands are built. And so many founder-led brands is the thing right now.
Yeah,
like, you're not really buying the thing because you care about the brand. You fell in love with the founder. You fell in love with that person.
That is true.
And when you get ready, whenever the time comes for Sinead Levesque to push a product, oh baby, like I'm selling out stores. I know I am, because I've already invested so much free. Girl, get this outfit from Amazon. Get this from that. All the girls that we watch and we follow and we love, we support them because we fell in love with them.
Yeah.
And so if you first and foremost just start posting about your story, your life, people are going to like you.
I like that.
And now when I put a product in front of your face, you're going to easily do that because I support you and I support anything that you do because I like
Write that down, y'all.
I think there's a girl who's doing focus only on the aesthetics. I think for me, because maybe like I went straight in consulting brands, like, well, what's her business? Because
I can't say because
I know. I understand. That's
not a very unique business.
Regardless of what it is, I always tell people like people have to, back to the environment.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people skip that part.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think that's why they make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
If you are a product-based business, then yes, you have to be led with like I'll actually preface, depending on the product-based business, you have to lead with either your personality, your aesthetics, or your charm. Because if you say that you're putting out a luxury sweater and nothing on your social looks luxe, that doesn't make sense, right?
I don't think that.
No one's going to believe in that. But if you are a tangible-based product, so I'll give, for example, like Beyonce. I want to do a post because, I'm trying to like increase my business content. Like, yay! So people used to sit there and criticize Beyonce so much because of like the different products that she had and how they didn't work. But I think people because people see business as a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
They don't realize that there's different niches in business for a reason, and they all have different rules of engagement. And so sometimes when even they don't know the rules of engagement to their niche. So for her, when she had clothing brand, when she had even like perfume, those are feeling-based types of businesses. So if you are more private, if you are more like this, those business brands aren't going to work. Yeah. So that's what people were like, her business, like, I'm like, well, those are personality-based products.
Yeah.
Why? That's why Rihanna could be successful, because Rihanna is a personality-based.
So like we know her.
Exactly.
Like,
so if she pushes that, oh, this lingerie makes her feel sexy, you're going to believe it because she acts like a sexy person.
I like that.
Versus why Sacred is doing well. Sacred is a research-backed business. So she doesn't even have to be the face of the brand. She can market the results. Like, she can say that your edges are going to grow. You are going to sit there with the hair.
True. They do make the edges grow.
And she gets the testimonials, and that is what she leveraged. And that's why people are seeing way more success from that, because you have to know your product, and then you have to match the work to that. Because VPN, people want VPN to be a founder-led. I'm working on that, but we were more service-based. So it didn't require me to be that.
See, and it's funny because I was like, is that going to be a jab if I be like, but you don't be putting your But it's funny because Kanasha, the founder of VPN, has created a personality of VPN where you don't have to do it because VPN is its own thing, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also Kanasha, the business coach, right?
Mhm.
So, like, that is, I don't want to say founder-led, but like, he wants to be coached because you're you.
Yeah. And so then when I put out stuff, I leverage why people listen or about this, because
you told us to. Your connection.
Well, no, because I understand how people build trust and authenticity. Like, I can tell you, like, look what I built for 12 years. Look what I was able to accomplish.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you like what I researched or what I read. I'm like, I have lived experience, so I can tell you, like, this is how you get a sponsor. This is how you work with vendors.
This is what you've done.
This is how you build a team, because I'm telling you from lived experience. And I'm also, or I could leverage people, my other advisor, other mentors who have done way bigger. Like, shoot, like the people I was going to meet today, he's a multi-millionaire. So when he calls, I listen.
You're just smart enough to know to listen.
Yeah. So I just think that people have to be really aware of just like what that means when they are building out something.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Postmates, I feel like Postmates is a perfect example. You lead. No, because it's like you lead with, like, because your core value is creating a space where people can feel seen, heard while they're doing business.
Yes.
So for the only way that you can translate that is by being more founder-led, like showing people that you're the type of person that listens to people, that gives people a space, that, like, so that means if I pass the vibe check, so therefore you got to pass the vibe check.
I asked for so little.
No, but so I think, but sometimes people stumble on that. They don't realize that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I think what I do is like help people see, like, no, you are doing what's right for your brand. So not to look at someone else's brand and try to make that comparison up, because I'm like, you're comparing the wrong thing. You're not even in the same niche you think you are.
Right, but you're not.
You're not.
Well, I know at one point you were at capacity with your clients. Are you taking business clients right now at this moment? Oh, Lord.
No.
Please don't walk off the show. I had to ask because I know people are going to watch this and be like, I want Kanasha to coach me.
I am going to open up to sit there and get some clients. I'll
think about it.
No, I'm going to do it. I'll let you know when the link go up. I'll make sure you make people know.
If you're watching this, I don't know when you're going to see it, but definitely her name will be linked in everything. Reach out. Good luck to you. May the odds ever be in your favor. So before we wrap up this segment, also, we've been talking about Envision Me a lot. Mm-hmm. And for those who have never heard of the conference, I want y'all to be a part of this. So, you know I'm going to do it, but like, give us this, like, explain Envision Me. And the conference is coming up in a couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll have this time, but like, tell them about the conference.
So Envision Me is a 3-day transformational experience. And so we bring in mental health providers, wellness professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, all the things and goal, with a goal in mind to make the whole woman whole. And so a lot of people who have connected with me and bought into my story and just my journey, they identify with it. And it's like, Sinead, well, how did you do this? How did you do that? And so God has placed it on my heart. So like, you're going to create this experience where you're bringing in all the tools and resources you use to be able to be whole. Because I know we're talking about beauty today, and it's a funny subject, I guess, relationship I have with it, where I want people to want to be a part of my life, not just because of how I look, but how that inner beauty, right? So it's two-folded. And I think it's intentional about aesthetically, we can look like everything's put together and all the things are so good and great. But I was so broken for a long period of time. And I just think that wholeness that I feel now, my goal is that other women are able to experience that, because the only way you're able to really impact this world and do all these great things that we do, like the world will be in shambles without women. That's how I feel about it.
Come on.
So
That fire.
I really need every single woman to get it together. And so that's what this conference is about. It's about getting us equipped so then we can be the legacy builders. So then we can be the business owners. So then we can be the moms and all the things. So like, that's what Envision Me is. It is
And it's a good time.
It's fun.
So much fun.
It's a good time. And I think every year, because like I look at Envision Me and how I want guests to feel and to be treated the same way I like to be, to feel and be treated as well. And so sometimes I do think I go a little bit above and beyond in terms of investment and things. I do. I know it. I know it to be true. I think I treat it the same way I treat my own like house parties and stuff. Like I go all in, and
You don't have to anything, Shanae.
Yeah, and so sometimes that doesn't equate to dollars, but I think more than anything, like this is a heart service too. So it's a balance for me as a business owner to treat it as a business, yes, but to also honor like the cause and the purpose of it. So it's a balance.
To get y'all ticket, pull up.
It's a good time.
I love, and I might give y'all a little discount code in the show notes. So yay! So if you struggle with building like a recognizable brand or following, I know this episode was helpful because I took some notes as well as a business owner. So when we talk about having business brands and the game changer that is, this is what I mean. Like we can talk about these things as only business owners can, because a person who's not a business owner can appreciate the conversation, but it just hits different when we all understand like the pressure and the awareness of being a business owner, and just understanding something so simple like aesthetics and knowing that it's not just being pretty, it's like a very strategic thought out thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you guys. Thank you to my wonderful guests. So we have Kanasha Paul, the founder of Zach Professional Network and business coach, and just a whole vibe. And then we have Shanae Levette, attorney, Rome 8 founder, and the creator of the Envision Me conference, one of my favorite conferences soon. So definitely, guys, make sure you stay connected. I have all the information so that you can follow them and pull up their events and everything like that. Also, shout out to our podcast engineer, Gil. Woo! We love Gil. He knows what everybody looks like without their wigs on. And yeah, yeah.
That's such a good talent.
Right? And of course, if you've never been to CoSpace, pull up, come to CoSpace to co-work and record your own podcast. Yay!
Shout out to those things.
Thank you. So we know that beauty is not shallow, it's strategic. Branding is so important. And smart business owners understand how it can really push your brand forward.
Yeah.
Like Rom 8, like Envision Me, like BPN, and just like Kanasha. Overall, right?
Kanasha the brand.
Yes. So once again, thank you ladies for being here. Of course, friend. And I always say every business owner needs business friends. And if you don't have any, I hope you have fun borrowing mine. Until next time. Bye.